What a nostalgic intro to an iconic game, Super Mario Sunshine. As a kid, this game cemented itself in my mind's Hall of Fame in the GameCube era of games. Now back then, I was much worse at video games than I am today. I never collected all the shines or completed every level or collected every blue coin. There's a ton I missed out on when I was younger, and streaming Super Mario Sunshine as a challenge where I push myself to collect everything seemed like a pretty great way to revisit the game in a way that would take me to every corner of Isle Delfino and see what this place has to offer. Before we get too deep into anything, I just wanted to bring up that all of the clips used in this video are taken directly from my own live streams. The gray box on the left side of the stream is my chat, and I left it in the video as sort of a self-promo to encourage anyone who wants to fill it up to come enjoy your seat front and, well, not quite so center. I stream every day around 9 AM Pacific time or 12 PM Eastern time, so if you enjoy my video on Super Mario Sunshine, I'd love to say hello to you there. For the next little while, I'll be playing Pokemon Revolution Online. It's a multiplayer online Pokemon experience, and I'd love to be able to take community feedback on what game you'd like to see a video on or streamed next. Link to my Twitch will be in the description just below the video. Otherwise, I do stream here on YouTube as well. Getting back to the video, I have a lot to say about Super Mario Sunshine. I think a good place to start is a little bit of backstory. While I don't know the exact intricacies of the development of this game, I do know that Super Mario Sunshine had a development time of only 18 months. While this isn't a massive game, I will give credit to what Nintendo did make in what little time that is pretty amazing. That being said, I'd like to move on to controls. For some reason, the camera controls are just unwieldy at the best of times. In many of these clips, you'll probably see the camera move around wildly at times. You're not able to freely aim the camera around without switching to free aim mode, which locks Mario in place while replacing your movement controls with aiming the camera. This feels incredibly disorienting at first because I'm used to modern games where everything camera related is usually done with one joystick. Switching between the right joystick rotating the camera, then the left stick aiming the camera is just one of many questionable systems in place in this Shine Hunt. Another is the movement itself. The movement in Super Mario Sunshine is fairly primitive when compared to modern 3D Mario games, but still allows for some really interesting movement tech. When it works. Mario feels about as slippery as you'd expect a guy spraying water on literally everything would be. It does get better, but it takes absolutely forever to, and until that point, Mario will seemingly perform an Olympic gold medalist dive off the nearest cliff or into the nearest enemy or object that will end up ruining everything you're attempting to accomplish. I strongly recommend it if you haven't already to pick this game up and try it for yourself so you can experience it. It really is unbelievable how out to get you this game feels sometimes. This game, following Super Mario 64, threw out a few of Mario's movement options. The main thing Mario lost was his use of the long jump, which was replaced with the ability to dive in mid-air in Super Mario Sunshine. Landing on the ground after a dive makes Mario slide on the ground, and in a fun, quirky mess, if Mario is wet either from water sprayed on the ground in front of him or diving through a puddle, he will gain tremendous forward momentum. This feels really fun in the game's first area, Bianco Hills, where at the beginning of the stage, there's a long hill downwards with water fountains spraying water on the slope the whole way down, practically begging you to slide down it. That being said, as with almost everything else, this usually ends up being more harmful than helpful unless you're a speedrunner or have practice with the movement. While Mario moves forward extremely quickly, he does not move left or right very quickly at all, and more often than not, it will lead you to completely miss your target altogether, either drifting past it or slamming into something along the way, which halts all forward momentum. This can be dangerous when paired with strict platforming, as jumping while Mario is diving will force him to fling himself forward. You must come to almost a complete stop while diving before you jump in order to jump in place. This alone almost made me forget for most of the game that the dive is a movement tool for things other than solely moving quickly in a straight line across Delfino Plaza or down slopes. To get back to the positive though, this game absolutely shines in its music and overall feel. I've been playing music from Super Mario Sunshine in the background this whole time, and I'll continue to have it play throughout the video. I found that I couldn't help myself from humming along to the various tunes each level provided, no matter how frustrated I was getting at the time. It really is no wonder that when I usually hear people talk about this game, the music is probably the most common aspect that's brought up. And right alongside that is the levels themselves. I can't even begin to explain how iconic Isle Delfino has become, with it only being explored in one single game. Perhaps it's because you spend so much time in them, but you end up becoming almost intimately familiar with almost every corner of the game. Even now, as I was playing through them, I could remember a lot more than I could from when I last played this game almost 20 years ago. I think it's fair to say though that the most forgettable aspects of the game are the bosses. If I told you that there are 10 total bosses in Super Mario Sunshine, could you tell me who they are? Let me know in the comments if you can, because I definitely can't, and I just played it. Stick with me here. The 10 main bosses you fight are the polluted piranha, these goopy piranha plants that sprout out of the sludge and usually have a building hidden underneath. Gooper Blooper, a giant blooper enemy with ink all over its face, making it extra slippery. The Wiggler, a giant caterpillar enemy that gets increasingly angrier the more you fight it. Mecha Bowser, a giant robot built in the likeness of the King Koopa himself. Eelymouth, a weird two-faced but one-mouthed eel that has dirty teeth you need to take care of. The Phantom Manta, a ghost-like manta ray that produces electric goop as it travels across the level, and his other ghost friend, King Boo, which I just want to point out how funny it is that Mario gets this version while Luigi gets this for 3 games. Anyways, Petey Piranha, who actually makes his debut in this very game along with another beloved character, Bowser Jr., a mini kid version of Bowser that still remains a key character to this day. The final boss in the game is Bowser, the King Koopa. Now, the bosses aren't too mechanically intensive. To me, the most mechanically challenging fight is probably the King Boo fight. It takes advantage of pretty much every aspect of the game, with interacting with fruits, spraying targets, ground pounding the wheels to stop them from turning, taking care of enemies that spawn periodically, and managing your water supply by spraying the bubbles he spawns to top yourself off. You don't necessarily have to take advantage of every aspect in this fight, but because you can only damage King Boo by throwing fruits at him, he in a way forces you to interact with a lot of mechanics you'd usually be able to cheese or skip through easily with other bosses. For example, with the second fight with Petey Piranha, the game wants you to aim and launch these pink water balloon things at him to knock him down. They only have a few spots on the map where they spawn, so you're intended to go back and grab a new one each time you knock Petey Piranha out of the air. However, if you manage to spray it, Petey will just fall out of the air regardless, so it's far easier to just spam Flood in the boss's general vicinity and knock it down that way, completely disregarding an entire mechanic of the boss fight. This is unfortunately not the only case of something intuitive being easier than the intended mechanic, but I think looking at the fights purely from a mechanical standpoint is a bit unfair. The same way looking at any of the mechanics in this game on their own is a bit unfair. There's a lot of love in this game, and you can really feel it in every little thing from the birds to the butterflies. And yes, that was a direct reference to the secret shines hidden in the golden birds and the blue coins hidden with the blue butterflies. I'm absolutely positive I'm not the only one who's put together that the 3D Mario games are all secretly little scavenger hunts. I wanted to talk more about the levels and secrets themselves, and this video was originally going to be a step-by-step walkthrough on everything I did in Super Mario Sunshine, but partway through writing the script for this, I realized I had a lot more to say on the game itself. The footage in the background I've been playing is my journey through every last level through collecting 120 shines. It wasn't easy, but a lot of what made it exciting was finding secrets in levels before I managed to spoil myself with a guide. Now, Super Mario Sunshine isn't new. I'm sure this has probably been said before in much better words, but I see a lot of inspiration for even Mario games of today with the way Mario Odyssey moons are hidden in levels. And just like the game that came before it, you can see a lot of inspiration for Super Mario Sunshine's shines, or blue coins, in the secrets of Super Mario 64, albeit a bit watered down, pun absolutely intended by the way. While every single secret in Super Mario Sunshine may not be unique, there are still a lot of them that feel extremely rewarding, even having looked up a guide to see where they are. There's usually a challenge of collecting 8 red coins within a time limit for any of the shines in the secret optional levels, and while the use of the FLUDD can be argued to take away from many of them, I would argue that it enhances it. These secret levels are designed without the use of FLUDD in mind, and so redoing the level with not only prior experience of completing it, but also the use of a hover mechanic definitely breaks the intended paths. You can skip entire sections of the carefully crafted parkour jumps, and hovering takes away almost all of the challenge in nailing precise jumps. But let me ask you this, isn't that the point? You spend the entire game controlling Mario with the help of FLUDD to unlock all of Mario's movement potential, practicing by maneuvering around the levels and constantly progressing up and down the game's extremely vertical terrain. The levels that take FLUDD away are absolutely more challenging than the levels with FLUDD, which is why I think the secret levels where you go back with your trusty water backpack is meant to be more of a reward, to show you as a player how far you've come to where now you can come back to these levels you used to struggle with for a semi-easy shine. I say semi-easy because there's one or two specifically, the Chucksters, that aren't so easy. That one I feel is the exception, however, because the level itself feels like it was meant to be frustrating. Adding a second shine where you have to redo it makes sense in a way that the challenge inside is even more frustrating than before, if that was the intention. That being said, with a little bit of patience, just like with most things in Super Mario Sunshine, you can overcome most obstacles. I think overall, the Chuckster level in particular is a really good description of what Super Mario Sunshine is at its core, both the regular and the red coin challenge version. It's a level that's meant to be frustrating in a way that feels almost euphoric once it's finished. If you try and rush things and talk to the Piantas too hastily, you'll end up being thrown off the ledge to your demise. In the same way, if you try to rush through levels and challenges, you're gonna end up bonking your head on a wall or flinging yourself off a ledge. It feels out of your control because sometimes, yes, it absolutely is, and it's the game's fault. You aren't crazy. But that's okay, because you pick it right back up, and again, with just a little bit of patience, you can make the safer jump or talk to the Pianta at the correct angle after checking with the background to line it up. You could argue that playing the game safe like that all the time isn't very fun, and I'd agree, but I believe that it's important to keep in mind when to play like this. A lot of the game is meant to be frustratingly difficult. I don't believe this game could have been finalized and released to be the childhood summer classic it's known to be today otherwise. There's a lot wrong with the game and its rushed development cycle and multiple revamps of almost entire game mechanics, in my opinion, adds to its charm. Nothing emphasizes a moment of taking a step back and breathing more than clipping through the level and dying to something completely out of your control. Don't just take my advice at my word though. If you haven't already, obviously, I highly recommend you try the game out for yourself so you can experience everything. Now that I've completed all 120 shines in Super Mario Sunshine, I have to say I can't recommend you do the same unless you've played the game before and want the challenge. The game is amazing and has a ton to offer, but just like with most summer vacations, they're amazing fun for a while, but overstaying your welcome can start to make it feel more like a slog to get out and do more things. By the time you reach the end of the game, I feel you have sufficiently explored what Isle Delfino has to offer. Like I said though, if you're into the challenge, you could definitely give it a shot. Having gone through it blind trying to get as much off of memory as I could, I would say to use a guide and try to keep track of what blue coins you've found. My playthrough could have saved a few hours of backtracking had I used a guide from the start, or actually kept a list of blue coins I've found. Other than that though, this game, as it was for many others, is a cornerstone of my favorite games as a child, and though I can see it for its very many apparent flaws, I still choose to love it to this day. And now that I've fully completed every inch of challenges this game has to offer, I can say with confidence, some people love to hate this game, some people hate to love it. I just hate the freaking Chucksters. If you've watched up to this point, thank you very much for listening to me ramble and taking the time to hear what I have to say. Do you disagree with anything I said? That's okay. I'm wrong most of the time. Let me know what I was wrong about in the comments below. As I'm sure you can tell by the quality of the video, I'm not very experienced with video editing, and this was actually my very first project ever. So while you're down there, if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe, that would be absolutely wonderful and support me immensely. I do plan on doing more videos in the future for more games, and like I mentioned in the beginning, I do live stream every day starting at 9 AM PST or 12 PM EST. So if you'd like to keep track with what I'm currently doing, you can always say hello to me there. Please let me know if there's anything I can improve upon. I've always admired content creators for the dedication and hard work it takes to consistently make content, and having experienced it firsthand now, I'm confident I'm up for the task. I hope to see you while I'm live, and again, thank you for watching, and have an amazing day.